Hello. I'm just about to head off. It's the morning, about to head off to start my day, and I just thought I'd mention that I'm starting a body composition experiment today. I've finally got back to the stage where I am having a lot of energy in the mornings, which is always a very good sign, and my sleep is improving. And I noticed this just as I went back on a strictly carnivorous ketogenic diet. However, I do have some things like I have uh, ginger and cayenne pepper, which I add to my meats and fish and eggs. And I also have, every morning, I have a cup of tea, kind of tea, that has, it's just a cinnamon and caprylic acid tea. Caprylic acid is my favorite medium chain triglyceride to have, as I noticed the most benefits to the brain and my digestion as well. Um, it's I find it interesting just to note that when I first had MCT oil, it was a pharmaceutical grade MCT oil. So I got that from my pharmacy, my local pharmacy, and when I was starting on a ketogenic diet years ago now, it feels strange saying that. When I was starting on a ketogenic diet, I noticed that I was struggling with digesting more fats than I was used to. So MCT oil really helped me because it rapidly converts to ketone bodies from the liver. And then I could measure my blood ketones even around 20 minutes after usually. And I would have rapidly elevated blood ketones. I am metabolically very flexible, which helps a lot with that. Just have some of my tea. I really like it actually. All I do is I have half a cinnamon stick, and I just have it in some boiling water, and then at the very end, after it's done, I then add the caprylic acid, and I have about 15 grams of that. So I add that in, and I start my mornings like that every morning. And as I say, I'm doing a body composition experiment, so I'm having slightly more protein than I was, because then I have the energy to complete the exercises. It's not a huge amount of protein. For my breakfast this morning, I just had a fatty cut of meat. It was just like half of a fatty lamb heart. And yeah, that was must have been about 25 grams of protein. So not a huge amount, but I get the energy from that and and I have that practically raw. I get the energy from that, not just from that, but also this MCT. Well, it is a medium chain triglyceride. The caprylic acid solution that I have here with the cinnamon. And cinnamon can help to lower blood glucose, but also just I feel good having that. And it's the morning, and I feel very mentally sharp. I feel like just because I'm having a really good sleep at the moment, and my digestion's really good as well. I think if you have poor digestion, it can affect your brain and your cognitive function. So for this body composition experiment, I'm doing what I've done before, where I'm actually very good at manipulating just my lean tissue mass and body fat and just my fitness levels as well. Because I find that if I'm fitter, It's kind of an ambiguous term, but if I'm focusing on strength this time, not just um, not just my, which I was doing before, my aerobic capacities, but um, yeah, I'm focusing on strength and trying to build more lean tissue this time. So I'm doing this for 100 days, and um, I'm just ticking off each day. I've got a calendar, and I'm very motivated to do this. And I've done it before, so I know I can do it even on a strict ketogenic diet for cancer management. It is difficult to do, I find, because it's difficult to just put on weight. I don't like to say weight because it's lean tissue I'm trying to put on. I don't want to get fat, although I've done that before on purpose because I got too skinny at one point. And adipose tissue is an important endocrine tissue, so you don't want to have too low body fat as well. I got too low at one point when I was doing long fasts, my 9-day fasts. And the reason it was 9 days is because the first time I did it, I aimed for 10 days, but I had a breakthrough seizure on the 10th day because it was just too much of a stress for my system, and possibly some electrolyte issues as well. So when I do fast for days on end, I do have water with electrolytes added to it. So I add magnesium, sodium, and potassium salts in a specific ratio that seems to work for me, and I have it just when I feel like I need it. It's good that I have, in a way, it's good that I have reflex epilepsy, which is the type of epilepsy where you have known, well, there's always an extraneous, or there's always an external cause. And in my case, I am able to identify most of those causes. I have a huge list of what I know causes it, and even with foods, I know the amount of certain foods that trigger symptoms. And food is my biggest trigger, along with stress and lack of sleep. Another one is air quality and breathing. If I'm in a stuffy room, it can trigger seizure activity. I'm a bit hot in here, but it's cold outside, so I was preparing for that. But yeah, doing this body composition experiment, I expect that my body fat will remain the same, but my lean tissue will increase because I'm eating the same foods every day. I have 2 meals a day. The first meal for breakfast is a smaller meal, but it's higher in fat. And the second meal is a bit bigger and it's higher in protein. Still high fat, of course. And overall in the day, it's about 80% fat. Maybe a bit lower fat as a ratio now because I've increased the protein slightly. But the diet I follow normally is an 80% fat, 20% protein, ketogenic diet. The only kind of carbs that I have are in the form of ginger, turmeric, black pepper, and the cinnamon in here, which is hardly any. It's just for a bit of flavour in it. Cinnamon helps to lower blood glucose. So. And it just tastes nice. I really like it. And it doesn't trigger seizure activity for me, which is always a bonus because a lot of things do, and it can get a bit frustrating. So yeah, this is day 1 of my 100 days of exercise. I was a bit slack at one point. All I was doing was walking, but now I'm pushing myself a bit more. I have this device that I've been using, which is really good, that anchors to my door and allows me to do a number of exercises. I've also been doing workouts outdoors at a stupid time in the morning, but not consistently. So today is the first day where I'm doing this consistently. So today was day one, and as I say, I'll be doing this for 100 days, and we'll see how I go.